And I used to work as a food delivery driver. Not anymore. After what happened to me one rainy night last fall, I quit for good. I haven't touched a delivery app since. I haven't driven past that part of town again either. People always say food delivery is easy money. Just drive, drop, and go. But no one tells you about the strange houses, the empty roads at night, the eerie silence when the city falls asleep. No one tells you that sometimes it's not just food waiting behind the door. Sometimes it's something else. Something waiting for you. I worked for a popular food delivery app, Doordash. Most nights were normal. You picked up the order, followed the GPS, and handed over the food. People barely looked at you, just grabbed the bag and mumbled thanks. I didn't mind. I liked the quiet. I didn't have to talk too much, and I made enough to pay my rent, buy groceries, and keep my running. That night started just like any other. It was a Thursday, and it had been raining on and off since morning. The sky was dark early, heavy clouds blocking out what little light was left. I remember thinking I should probably log out early and go home, but the money was good. Surge pricing kicked in because of the weather, and I had already made more in 3 hours than I usually did in 5. I told myself I'd do one more delivery before calling it a night. The order came in at 9:42 p.m. The restaurant was a little hole-in-the-wall Thai place I'd picked up from before. Golden Orchid. I drove over, and the owner, Mr. Preacher, handed me the bag like always. He smiled politely but didn't say much. He never did. I checked the receipt, 1 large tom yum soup, 2 orders of pad thai, sticky rice, and a Thai iced tea. Nothing strange about the order, except maybe the delivery address. Way out on the edge of town, past the last gas station, in a neighborhood. I didn't think much of it at the time. GPS said it was a 15-minute drive, and the customer had tipped generously. That was all I needed to know. The road out there was quiet. Too quiet. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, but the streets were shiny and slick, reflecting the dim yellow glow of the streetlights. After a few turns, the houses became farther apart. Then the streetlights disappeared completely. I drove through a wooded stretch where the trees leaned over the road like long, dark fingers. My phone's GPS chirped instructions now and then, the robotic voice echoing in my car like it was trying not to wake someone. In 500 feet, turn left. Continue for 1.2 miles. I kept glancing at the address, 1033 Marrow Lane. When I finally turned onto it, I knew why. The road was barely paved, more gravel than asphalt, with thick woods pressing in from both sides. My headlights barely cut through the mist. I slowed down, heart thudding a little harder. Something about the road made me feel like I wasn't supposed to be there. But I kept going. The money was good, just one more delivery. After what felt like forever, I saw a mailbox. The numbers were old and faded, but I could just make out 1033. The house was set far back from the road, nearly hidden behind trees. I turned up the long driveway, tires crunching over wet gravel. The house was odd. It looked big, maybe 2 stories, but there were no lights on. None. Not on the porch, not in the windows, not even by the garage. Just darkness. I parked near the front and hesitated. Usually, people turned on the porch light if they knew food was. But this place was dead quiet. I turned off the engine and sat for a moment, listening to the rain patter on the windshield. The air felt heavier here, like I had driven into a different world. I grabbed the food bag and stepped out. The rain had stopped, but the mist hung thick in the air. My shoes crunched on gravel as I approached the porch. I knocked once, then again. No answer. I rang the doorbell, but there was no sound. I was about to call the number on the app when I heard it. A faint creaking sound from inside the house. Not footsteps exactly. More like wood bending under slow, careful movement. Then a voice, soft and dry, like leaves being blown across concrete. "Come in." Voice wasn't coming from behind the door. It was deeper in the house, as if someone had called out from a hallway or stairwell. I looked around. No signs of life, no lights, no movement, just the open night and the sound of my own breathing. I took a shaky breath and knocked again, louder this time. The door creaked open. I didn't touch it. I swear I didn't. It opened just a few inches, but enough to see inside. The hallway beyond was dark, but I could make out the faint outline of stairs going up. and an old chandelier hanging low from the ceiling. The smell hit me then, damp, moldy, and sweet, like rotting flowers in wet earth. I took a step back. This wasn't right. I had delivered to weird places before. Half-built apartments, sketchy motels, people waiting in towels, but nothing like this. I should have turned around. I should have left. Bag driven away. But something stopped me. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the voice. Or maybe it was that deep part of me that wanted to believe this was just a strange old house with an eccentric owner. "Hello?" I called, my voice shaking more than I wanted it to. No reply. Just silence. I slowly pushed the door open wider. "I have your food," I said. "Thai food, from Golden Orchid." Still no reply. But then I saw something move. Just a flicker of motion at the top of the stairs. A figure. A shadow, too thin to be normal. It stood there for a moment, then backed away into the darkness. My body screamed at me to run, but my feet stayed where they were. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I stepped inside. The door closed behind me. I didn't push it shut. It just swung slowly until I heard the soft click of the latch. I froze where I stood, one foot still on the edge of the mat, the other inside on the cold wooden floor. I stared at the door for a long second, my brain trying to catch up with my body. That sound, that closing door, it didn't feel natural. It didn't sound like an old door moved by wind or weight. It sounded like something had decided to close it. Like the house had swallowed me whole. Worse than I thought. It was thick and strange. Not like food or mildew, but something older. Like something had been left too long in the dark. The hallway stretched out in front of me, long and narrow, walls lined with faded wallpaper that curled at the edges. A thick runner rug muffled my footsteps. I held the food bag tight in one hand and reached for my phone with the other, but when I pulled it out, the screen was dark. No signal. I tapped it again and again, but it just froze, stuck on the last GPS screen from when I arrived. "Hello?" I called again, louder this time, and I hated how shaky my voice sounded. "Your food is here." There was a long silence. Then I heard footsteps above me, slow, deliberate, like someone walking in a circle, pacing just above the front hallway. The boards creaked under each step, then silence again. They were steep and narrow, carpeted in something that had once been red, now just a faded brown. The top disappeared into darkness. No lights, no windows, no voices. Just the feeling that someone or something was up there watching. "Sir?" I tried, though the word didn't sound right in my mouth. "Ma'am?" Another sound, this time behind me, a whisper of movement, soft and short, like a curtain being pulled aside or a breath drawn through teeth. I turned quickly, but the hallway behind me was empty. I should have left. Every part of me knew it. I should have dropped the bag right there on the old wooden floor and walked out. But something in the air held me, not just fear, but pressure. Like the house didn't want me to leave, like it was testing me, waiting to see what I'd do next. Photo. It was hanging on the wall just past the staircase. An old black and white portrait in a cracked wooden frame. A man and woman stood side by side, unsmiling, dressed in clothes that looked older than the house itself. Between them stood a little girl. She had long dark hair, pale skin, and a blank expression that made my stomach twist. Her eyes seemed too large for her face, and the longer I looked at her, the more I felt like she was looking through me. I stepped closer, drawn to it. That's when I saw the eyes. Someone had scratched them out. All three of them. The man, the woman, the girl. All of their eyes had been carved away, leaving deep, jagged marks in the glass and paper. I staggered back from the picture and nearly dropped the food. Came from above again. I turned toward the stairs, heart pounding. The bag in my hand felt heavier. My brain screamed, "Go, Caleb, go now," but my feet started climbing, slowly, carefully, one step at a time. The staircase groaned beneath my weight, but nothing else moved. At the top, I found a narrow hallway, lined with doors. Some were closed. One stood open just a little, the edge of something dark behind it. A cold draft blew through the hallway, and I could hear something faint, music maybe? A humming sound, high and thin, coming from somewhere deeper in the house. I walked toward the open door. Room, or what used to be one. The bed was pushed against the wall, sheets tattered and old. A rocking chair sat in the corner, facing away from me. It moved slightly as I entered. Not rocking fully, just shifting with a soft creak, like someone had just gotten up, or like someone invisible was still sitting there. I placed the bag on the small dresser next to the door. "Your food is here," I said, louder than I meant to. "I'll just leave it here, okay? I'm going now." No answer. Only the humming sound, now closer, just outside the room. It sounded like a child's voice, a little girl humming a melody I didn't recognize. It drifted down the hallway, slow and sweet but warped, like a music box that had been left out in the rain. I took a step back and looked toward the sound. At the end of the hallway, just for a second, I saw the outline of a little girl. Long dark hair, white nightgown, feet bare on the wood. She stood there perfectly still, her head tilted slightly to one side. I couldn't see her face, it was shadowed, but I didn't need to. I already knew who she was, the girl from the photo. Then she was gone. Not like she walked away. She just wasn't there anymore. The lights flickered. A chill ran down my spine like someone had poured cold water directly into my bones. I backed into the bedroom and grabbed my phone, desperate to call for help, but the screen flickered and went black. And this time, directly behind me. I spun around. The rocking chair was now facing me. Empty. I didn't scream. I wanted to, but my voice was locked somewhere deep in my chest. My legs finally remembered how to move, and I bolted from the room, nearly tripping on the old rug in the hallway. I ran down the stairs 2 at a time, my breath coming in sharp gasps, heart thudding like a drum. When I reached the front door, it was shut tight. I grabbed the knob and twisted, but it wouldn't turn. It was stuck. No lock, no bolt. It just wouldn't move. Like it was part of the wall, I slammed my shoulder into it. Then both hands, pushing with everything I had. Humming started again. Closer this time. And beneath it a whisper, "You shouldn't have come here." My hand still on the front door, shaking all over. That voice, I don't even know how to explain it. It wasn't loud, but it filled the whole house like a cold fog. It sounded like a whisper in both ears at once, as if it had come from inside my own head. And the way it said those words, "You shouldn't have come here," wasn't angry or even warning. It sounded sad, like it already knew what was going to happen to me. I turned slowly, breath stuck in my throat. The hallway was empty. I could still hear the humming, but it was fainter now, like it was drifting from room to room, circling me. I tried the door again, but it was like part of the wall now, solid, frozen in place. My phone was useless. No apps would open, no signal, no light. I shoved it into my jacket pocket and backed up against the door, staring into the shadows. That's when I realized something was missing. The food bag. I had left it on the dresser in that strange bedroom upstairs. I was sure of it. I had seen it sitting there when I ran out. But now, it was nowhere. I hadn't heard anyone come down. No footsteps, no sound of a bag being picked up. But it had vanished. I moved away from the door slowly, walking backwards so I could keep my eyes on the hallway. Every part of me was telling me to get out, break a window, crawl out through the attic, anything. But somehow, I knew it wouldn't work. This wasn't just a house anymore. It was like I had stepped out of the real world and into something else, a place that looked like a house but wasn't, a trap wearing a familiar shape. I needed to find another exit. I moved, walking toward the back of the house. The kitchen was dark and strange, like no one had cooked there in years. The counters were coated in a thin layer of dust, and the fridge door was slightly open. I reached for it without thinking, then froze when I saw what was inside. Not food, not drinks, photos. Hundreds of them, stacked, shoved into every shelf and drawer. Old Polaroids, faded and curling at the corners. Some were stuck to the inside walls of the fridge with yellowing tape. I pulled one out at random and stared. A man in a red jacket, holding a food delivery bag. My heart nearly stopped. I dropped the photo and grabbed another. A woman in a green hoodie, holding the same kind of thermal bag I used. Her face was pale, scared. Behind her in the photo, standing just over her shoulder, was a little girl with long dark hair. Another photo, a young guy, beard, smile frozen in panic. Same girl behind him. Another. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Every one of them had a delivery driver in it, and everyone had her. The count. My breath was coming in short gasps now. These people, they had all been here. They'd all delivered food, just like me, and none of them had left. I turned away from the fridge and ran through the living room past the dusty old furniture, into a side hallway I hadn't seen before. The walls here were different. Peeling paint, claw marks on the wood. long scratches like someone had tried to get out. My shoes crunched on broken glass. A mirror had shattered on the floor, and in the slivers of it, I thought I saw something move behind me. I didn't look back. At the end of the hallway was a door. I threw it open and found stairs leading down, into the basement. I hesitated, staring into the darkness. The air coming from below was thick and damp, and it smelled like old water and something else. Something sweet and foul, like meat left out too long. I stepped down, one slow stare at a time, my hand on the wall for balance. There was no light switch, no window, no way to see anything. I used my phone as a flashlight, but the battery was almost dead. The screen flickered as I reached the bottom. Then the light caught something. A face. No, not a real face. A mask. Dozens of them, hanging from wires nailed into the wooden beams above. Homemade masks, each one different. Some were made of paper, others of fabric, others of what looked like dried skin. I stared in horror as I realized many had names written under them. First names: Tina, Devon, Caleb. My name was there, under an empty hook. My knees went weak. I stumbled back and hit something solid. I turned and screamed. The girl was standing behind me, not a ghost, not an illusion. She was real, solid, pale. Her long hair hung down in wet strands, and her eyes, those eyes, were black, empty, like two deep pits that had no bottom. She looked up at me and smiled, but there was no joy in it, just hunger. "I'm so hungry," she whispered. I pushed past her and ran, shoving through the basement door and up the stairs. My foot caught on the last step, and I fell hard onto the kitchen floor, scraping my elbows. I rolled onto my back, expecting her to come crawling after me, but the door slammed shut before she appeared. I scrambled up and ran back toward the front of the house. That's when I saw the living room again, and the rocking chair. It was moving. Someone was sitting in it now. The girl? No, an old woman. She looked up at me with eyes just like the girl's. Black, hollow. "She feeds the house," the woman said. Her voice was dry and brittle, like dead leaves blowing in wind. "She brings us what we need. She's always hungry." Begged, "Please, I won't tell anyone. I'll forget this place exists. Just let me go." She smiled. "You already belong to her," she said. Then she faded, just vanished. The chair kept rocking for a second longer, then stopped. I backed away and tripped over something. The food bag. It was sitting in the hallway, right in the middle of the floor. I didn't leave it there. I know I didn't. I opened it slowly. It was empty, except for a note. 4 words written in red. "You delivered yourself tonight." I could. The paper note inside landed face up on the floor, those 4 red words staring back at me. "You delivered yourself tonight." I couldn't look away from them. I just stood there, breathing hard, my legs weak and my throat dry. It was like something inside me finally cracked, like the truth had broken through all the fear, all the confusion, and settled in my chest with a cold, heavy weight. I wasn't here to deliver food. That order, that app alert, the missing house from the GPS, all of it had been a trick, a trap. I hadn't brought dinner to someone. I had brought myself. I backed away from the bag, my foot bumping the wall. My head spun. My heart felt like it was beating in my ears. I turned to look for a way out, any way out, but the hallway had changed. I swear to you, it wasn't the same. The wallpaper was different now. Darker, sagging, and covered in wet patches like it had rained inside. The pictures on the too. They were no longer black and white portraits of strangers. Now they showed people screaming, faces twisted in fear, mouths wide, hands reaching out as if trying to escape. One photo was torn, but I could still see part of the delivery bag in the bottom corner. Then I saw something worse. One of the pictures showed me. It was me standing in the kitchen, holding the food bag, mouth open like I was shouting, but I had never seen that moment before. I hadn't stood like that. I hadn't looked that scared. That photo wasn't of something that had happened. It was something that was going to happen. A piece of the future. The house wasn't just haunted, it was feeding me, stealing pieces of us, memories, time, faces, until we were nothing but another picture on the wall, another name under a mask, another story the next poor delivery driver would never get to tell. I had to move. I forced myself to take a step, then another. My hands were shaking, but I didn't stop. I passed a cracked window and threw my elbow into it as hard as I could. The glass didn't break, not even a crack. It was like hitting solid stone. I hit it again and again until my skin split and blood ran down my arm. The window didn't budge. It wasn't real. None of this was. I turned and ran down another hall, but every turn took me deeper into the house. The walls closed in tighter. The ceilings got lower. The light faded. The floors creaked. I started calling out again, yelling, screaming. I didn't care who heard me anymore. I just wanted someone to answer. But the only reply I got was that same soft humming. The melody never changed. It followed me like a shadow, always just around the next corner. Then I heard something else. Voices. Real voices. Crying, pleading. Dozens of them. Some whispered my name. Others begged me to turn around. Some told me to run. Some told me to stay. They came from every direction, from the walls, the floor, the ceiling. I covered my ears, but they pressed in anyway, filling my head with so much noise I thought I would collapse. I stumbled into a room I hadn't seen before. It was large and round, like an old parlor or sitting room. The furniture was all covered in sheets, and dust floated in the air like ash. But in the middle of the room was something off. Dinner table, set for one. A plate, a fork, a knife, a glass of water, a folded napkin, a candle that burned with a strange green flame, and on the plate, meat. I don't know what kind. I didn't want to know, but it was fresh, red and wet, and steaming like it had just been cooked. Next to the plate was a small handwritten card. It said, "Thank you for your service." I couldn't breathe. I backed away, turning toward the door, but it had vanished. The room was sealed now. No way in, no way out. The candle flickered. The humming got louder. I turned slowly, and she was there again. Closer this time. Her skin looked even paler now, almost gray, stretched tight over her face. Her hair hung like dead vines. Her mouth was too wide, too many teeth. And those eyes, they weren't just black anymore. They were moving, like swirling ink in water, like the house itself was alive behind them. "You brought dinner," she said in a voice that was both a child's and something else. Older, deeper, ancient. "I didn't mean to," I whispered. "I didn't know, please, I just want to go home." "You are home," she said, smiling. "You'll always be here." Then she opened her mouth wider than humanly possible, and screamed, "I'll ever be able to forget." It shook the walls. It made the glass in the room shatter inward. It filled my head with images I can't explain. Faces rotting, bones breaking, darkness swallowing everything. I dropped to my knees. Then, nothing. Black. I don't remember how long I was unconscious. When I woke up, I was outside, lying on the lawn in front of the house. My car still idling by the curb. The food bag gone. The app on my phone back to normal. The last delivery marked complete. No sign of the house being wrong. It looked perfectly normal from the outside, like nothing had ever happened. I didn't get in the car at first. I just ran down the street until I saw another house with lights on. I banged on the door until a man opened it. I told him everything. I begged him to call the police. They searched the house. There was nothing there. No sign of anything strange. No old woman, no little girl, no masks, no photos. Not even any furniture. Just a dusty, abandoned building that had been empty for years. They thought I was high. They thought I was crazy. I quit delivery the next day. But sometimes, I still hear the app go off at night, even though I deleted it, even though I smashed the phone. I hear that chime in my sleep. I hear the humming, and sometimes when I pass a mirror or a shop window, I see her behind me, watching, waiting, still hungry. Since that night, I've told myself over and over that it's over, that whatever happened in that house was some twisted hallucination, a bad dream, a stress breakdown caused by too many double shifts, too many long nights on the road, and too many deliveries to strange places. Maybe my brain finally cracked under the weight of it all. That's what the therapist said. That's what my mother said. That's what I wanted to believe. But deep down, I know better, because it's still happening. All at once, but in moments, in flashes. I'll be walking to the store, and I'll catch a glimpse of that little girl in a car window. I'll be brushing my teeth and swear I hear humming behind me. I moved to a new apartment last week. Smaller, brighter, high up with no trees or shadows. And still, the elevator sometimes opens on the wrong floor, and the hallway smells like that house, mold, dust, and something sickly sweet, like rot hiding under perfume. I even got a new phone. I swore I'd never work delivery again, never touch a food app again. But last week, I was using it to order groceries, and I saw something that froze me cold. It wasn't a normal notification. It just said, "New drop-off, 666 Raven Hollow Lane, accept?" I deleted everything, again. But the notification came back the next day. And then the next. And then something worse happened. I was walking home one night from the subway. It was late, but not that late, maybe 10:30 p.m. The city was still busy, cars honked, music played from open windows, life was still happening. But as I turned onto my street, the noise dropped away, like someone had sucked the sound out of the air. And up ahead, parked right outside my building, was a delivery scooter, not mine. But the same make, same red box on the back, same helmet hooked to the handlebar. I slowed down, heart pounding, and then I saw him. The guy walking away from the scooter had his back to me. He wore a red jacket just like mine, and he was holding a food bag in one hand. My food bag, the same one I had brought to that cursed house. He walked with stiff steps, almost like he was being pulled forward by invisible strings. And as he turned slightly toward the building door, I saw the side of his face. Not someone who looked like me, not a twin, not a doppelganger. It was me, same scar on my chin, same eyes, same posture. But his face was blank. His mouth hung slightly open. His eyes were glazed over like he wasn't really there. He opened the front door of my building and walked inside. I didn't follow. I couldn't. I backed away slowly. I left the block. I walked for hours in a daze. I didn't go home until the sun was up. And even then, I went to a friend's place and begged to crash on their couch. I told them my place had a gas leak. I lied. Because yesterday I got a package in the mail. No return address. Just a plain brown box. Inside was the food bag. Clean. Unopened, like it had never been used. There was a note inside it. This one was longer. It said, "She's still hungry. She remembers your taste. Next time, don't run. Next time, bring friends." There was something else under the note. A photo. Of me, standing at my friend's front door, smiling, holding the food bag. I couldn't. I just sat on the couch in my friend's living room, staring at the photo, heart pounding so hard it hurt. It had been taken from the street, just like a delivery driver might take a photo after dropping off food. But the problem was I had never stood at that door holding the bag. I never posed for that picture. I had never even brought the bag with me, so who or what took it? I showed it to my friend Kyle. He squinted at it, laughed nervously, then looked at me. "Man, this is a joke, right? You photoshopped this or something?" But his voice wasn't confident. He kept checking the hallway, like he expected someone to be listening. I told him everything, again. Not just about the house, but the notifications, the scooter, the voice, and now this. He didn't say much afterward, just nodded and said, "Maybe we should go to the cops." We did, and they didn't believe us. There wasn't any threat they could trace, no fingerprints, no return address. Just a picture, a note, and a delivery bag. I could see it in the officer's face. He thought I was having some kind of breakdown, maybe psychotic, maybe stressed. I probably looked like it too. I hadn't slept properly in weeks, and I felt like something inside me had already started to unravel. They took the box, took the note, but they wouldn't take me seriously. "We'll file a report," they said. "Let us know if anything else happens." Something else did happen. That night, I had a dream. No, not a dream, a memory. Someone else, a woman. Her name was Carla. I saw it on her name badge in the dream. She was a delivery driver too, and she had just pulled up to a big old house at the edge of a wooded road. Same bag, same app. It looked exactly like the place I had gone to, but older. The paint was fresh, the windows clean. There were lights on in every room. Carla walked up to the door, knocked once. A voice inside told her to come in. She stepped through the door, and then I started screaming. My own voice, inside her body. It was like I was trapped in her. I felt the floorboards shift beneath her feet, the temperature drop. Then that humming began. It wrapped around her like chains. She dropped the bag, turned, tried to leave. The door disappeared. And then I saw her face in the mirror hanging on the hallway wall. And just before the dream ended, she turned to me, looked right at me, and whispered, She never lets us leave. Soaked in sweat. The dream felt too real, like I hadn't been imagining Carla. I had been her. And the worst part? I remembered seeing her photo in the fridge that night, the one I dropped when I realized every face was a past delivery driver. Carla was real. She had delivered food just like I had, and she never got out. Now I'm starting to think I didn't either. Not really. I still haven't gone back to my apartment. I stayed with Kyle for a while, then hopped between motels. But it doesn't matter. The bag follows me. I wake up and find it by the door. I throw it away, burn it, leave it in dumpsters. But it always comes back. Always clean. Always empty. Like it's waiting for me to put something in it. New happened. Kyle didn't come home. He'd gone to work, said he'd be back by 7. He never showed. I called. No answer. I texted. Nothing. By 10, I was pacing the floor. At midnight, I heard it. A knock at the door. Soft. 3 slow taps. I froze. My skin went cold. Every part of me said don't open it, but I did. And no one was there. Except the bag. It was sitting right on the welcome mat. The zipper slightly open. Inside. Just one sentence. You brought him with you. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even call anyone. When I read that note, you brought him with you, something inside me went still. I just sat there on the floor of Kyle's apartment, staring at the delivery bag, unable to move, unable to think. I didn't have to wonder what it meant. I knew. Somehow, by staying with him, by trying to hide from marked me, I had given it a path to him. It had followed me into his home, into his life. And now it had taken him too, just like it tried to take me, just like it took Carla, and all the others. The humming house on the edge of the map wasn't just a place, it was a thing, a living, breathing, feeding thing. And the bag, that stupid red insulated bag, was how it reached out into the world. The thing that had already marked me, I had given it a path to him. It had followed me into his home, into his life. And now it had taken him too, just like it tried to take me, just like it took Carla, and all the others. The humming house on the edge of the map wasn't just a place, it was a thing, a living, breathing, feeding thing. And the bag, that stupid red insulated bag, was how it reached out into the world. The thing that had already marked me, I had given it a path to him. It had followed me into his home, into his life. And now it had taken him too, just like it tried to take me, just like it took Carla, and all the others. The humming house on the edge of the map wasn't just a place, it was a thing, a living, breathing, feeding thing. And the bag, that stupid red insulated bag, was how it reached out into the world. The thing that had already marked me, I had given it a path to him. It had followed me into his home, into his life. And now it had taken him too, just like it tried to take me, just like it took Carla, and all the others. The humming house on the edge of the map wasn't just a place, it was a thing, a living, breathing, feeding thing. And the bag, that stupid red insulated bag, was how it reached out into the world. The thing that had already marked me, it had. So I made a decision. I packed the bag. I put a flashlight inside, a small knife, a bottle of water, and the photo of Carla. I taped the note from the fridge to the bottom. Thank you for your service. I took a cab to the edge of town. From there, I walked the last few miles. The air was still, the woods quiet. It was like the world held its breath the closer I got. And then, there it was. Exactly where I left it. Standing tall and silent in the dark. No lights on, no sounds coming from within. But it was waiting for me. I could feel it. I didn't knock this time. I opened the door and walked in. It closed behind me with a soft click. The inside was different again. New layout, different colors. A strange warmth in the air, like the house was breathing. The walls pulsed faintly. I walked past rooms filled with old furniture, broken mirrors, and portraits of delivery drivers I didn't recognize. Some faces were scratched out, some were burned, but I saw Kyle's photo now. Fresh, centered on a mantel above a cold fireplace. His smile didn't reach his eyes. I went deeper, down hallways that stretched and curved like intestines, up stairs that moaned with every step, past doors that opened just a crack and then shut on their own, until I found her. She was sitting at the same dining room table, that strange candle burning with the green flame. The table was set for 2 now. One plate was empty, the other was full, meat, steaming, bloody, She looked up at me with those ink-black eyes and said, "I had to," I replied. "Are you ready now?" she asked. I nodded slowly. For what? To stay. The walls sighed, the lights dimmed, the floor beneath me shifted, and I sat down. I set the bag on the table between us. She reached for it with small hands. Too many fingers now. I didn't. "Good," she whispered. "You've learned." "What is this place?" I asked. "A mouth," she said, "a memory, a mother, a home." She opened the bag, took out the knife. Not to hurt me. To cut the meat, she placed a slice on my plate. "Eat," she said. And I did. Maybe I was hungry. Maybe I was tired of running. Maybe it was too late to resist. The meat was warm, familiar. It tasted like something I used to be. When I finished, she leaned across the table and took my hand. "You belong to us now," she whispered. And I felt it. Not pain. Not just silence. Like my mind had finally been swallowed whole. Like I was sinking into the walls, into the floor, into the wood and stone and bone of the house itself. And the last thing I saw before the candle went out was a new delivery driver stepping through the front door, wearing my face,